Khabib was the star of the lane. Mystical, I have to assume he's saying Khabib, peace be upon him, was the star of the lay and pray style. Mystical, I have to assume that you were exposed to the propaganda that I just saw the other day. And bro, I mean, consider the source. I have to assume that you just saw the same video that I saw, I believe, last night, from the mouth of Bobby Green. And in case anyone has forgotten, the most significant thing that Bobby Green has ever done in his career is change his name. That so far is the highlight and most notable part of Bobby Green's career. His name change. He is the meta world peace of the UFC. I saw Bobby Green show up on the Jackson podcast, and he was talking about how Khabib started the lay and pray style, which is so inaccurate. It is so lazy and inaccurate and hateful for that fool to be spreading that kind of propaganda. Because here's what did happen. Here's what actually happened. If you go back and actually watch Khabib's fights, he does not lay and pray in a single fight. Now, I would love it. And I put out this challenge weeks ago, and they never came back. I put out a challenge weeks ago, and I told people, screen record it, send it to me. Let's make this a reality. I told them Khabib would take people down, and he would tie them up like a pretzel with his legs, and then he would use his hands to beat them into the canvas. He would absolutely pummel them. Now, I know these days people hear the word maul, and I feel like they intercorrelate and confuse that with just wrestling and pressing someone and being on them. But what that was at the time was just beating them, mauling them, just hammering them with his fists. Khabib, so let me fully get to the end here. Khabib would take them down, tie them up, not like this, not with his arms. So then, how can he punch him if he's tied up with them? He didn't. He tied them up with his legs, and then he beat them with his hands. Here's why people might accuse him of the lay and pray style, though. People started trying to fight like Khabib, but they couldn't. So they had to revert to lay and praying. They had to settle for that. They had to rein it back and say, okay, I got the guy down. I'm keeping the pressure on. Every time I try to punch, though, and do the Khabib style, the guy gets back up. He punches back. He gets me in the choke. I got to just stay on him. And I think a perfect illustration is when Chimaev fought with Usman, and I talked about this in my prediction video. When Chimaev fought with Usman, Chimaev had to lay and pray. He wasn't really able to do anything because it took everything he had just to keep Usman there, just to stay on top of him. And he wasn't able to go above that because the moment he starts loosening up his hands to do anything with him, now he's getting up. He needed to keep everything he had to stay glued to him. When Chimaev fought with Du Plessis, he had a way easier time keeping him down. And he was beating his face in. He was able to crucifix him and keep him down with his legs and his body. And he was beating his face in. So that shows you the different levels depending on who you're dealing with in there. if you have to just stay glued to them and you can't get creative, you can't get cute with your hands, or you're in such a dominant position, you actually can. So Khabib, when you go through his fights, he's danga da danga da danga da da, and then he's building up the significant strikes. He's changing their faces, and all the people, even Makhachev. All the people after him, including Makhachev, they lay and pray. What did Makhachev do with Volkanovski? He laid and prayed. He laid and prayed. He literally prayed. He laid and prayed. Please let the judges give the favor to the current champ. Please go with the to be the man, you got to beat the man, Chale Sonnen type, the Ric Flair type of mindset. Now, if you are just talking about the Tebow fight, okay, I gotta follow through then, and I gotta really just say what's what, and I gotta be honest. And if he was in that particular fight more lay and pray, first of all, let's say, before I even go, because I haven't watched that fight since probably like 2020, 2019, whenever I kind of touched on it when I made a Khabib video with all his fights. I haven't watched that fight again since then, so I don't even remember. Khabib could have done a jumping spinner to outward crescent kick to the head for all I know. I don't even remember that fight. If I watch that fight again and I see that, okay, then that is what it is. But here's the thing. If Khabib was pummeling everyone and mauling them and teeing off on their faces in every fight, and then in the Gleason fight, Gleason was just that juiced up that Khabib had to rely on laying and praying more, okay. But people like GSP, Makhachev, they'll do that. Usman, they'll do that in an entire fight, every fight, their whole career, their whole championship run, every single fight. If Khabib leaned on that for one fight, who doesn't do that? Every champion. Israel Adesanya literally turned his back and ran away and had the referee set a screen for him so that he could get between him and El Mero Mero and ran away from Yoao. Like, even if your style stand up, there's ways where they're Conor McGregor, how many times did he straight up turn his back and run from Nate Diaz in the second fight? People do that. John Jones he straight up turned his back and ran from people like Thiago Santos and Dominic Reyes. So even people that stay on their feet have their ways of laying and praying, whatever they're doing, stalling, having the ref set a screen. I understand nobody likes the lay and pray style. I don't like it either. I just think that we can't confuse that with what Khabib does. Because if Khabib did that in the Tebow fight, then that's the only time he ever did it. There's other fighters that do that their whole career.